social skills training needs to happen. They need a highly structured setting. Uh, there is a woman who has made a good living for herself. She's called the Autism Helper. She has a website. She started off as a teacher of students with autism, and she has tons of great ideas. Um, autismhelper.com, I think it is. Tons of great ideas, and she can basically tell you everything you need in order to set up a highly structured setting for students with autism. Now, that's different than what most of you are going to have one or two kids who have autism in with your regular class, and that's a very, very different thing. But there are things that can be learned. They still need the structure. Visual schedules are a huge thing for the low functioning kiddos with autism. Um, and social stories is a great way to teach. You think about the fact that they can't take someone else's perspective. So if we use a social story, we can teach them how someone else is feeling about certain things or events. All right, let's deal with the reality here. I have a kid with autism in my class. Now what? Well, we've talked about some of the factors that make a child with autism, uh, an insistence on sameness. And again, when you meet one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. But typically, people with autism like sameness. So we can provide a predictable, safe environment. You're not going to be coming in and changing the layout all the time. Or um, if you're going to change bulletin boards, let them know, hey, we just finished Halloween. Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm going to be putting up some turkeys and things and taking down the ghosts and witches. Do you want to help? But maybe they don't want to help, but you just need to let them know this is going to be, by the time you get here tomorrow, it's going to be different. Um, Prepare the student for changes or surprises. If your schedule is going to be different tomorrow, we did some benchmark testing today. If that's going on, they need to be alerted that it's going to happen. Impairment in social interactions, another area that we talk about kiddos with autism have is impairment in social interactions. What do? We protect them from bullying and teasing. Said it before, nothing worse in the world, nothing meaner in the world than a middle school girl. We want to make sure that these kiddos are not being bullied or teased. I know, there are some very, very sweet middle school girls, but there are some mean ones. Anyway, teach what to say and how to say it. Many times they're very almost toddler-like in their desire to go take what's theirs, and just seems like oftentimes they're big and strong. Um, so we need to teach them what to say and how to say it. Use their words instead of their physical size, and then teach why an action or a comment was inappropriate. Don't just let it go and say, here, let's do it right. We got to teach, okay, why? Why was that inappropriate? Why should we not do that? As for the restricted range of interest, they can really fixate on something. I told you about the kid with the fixation on the fractals. Yeah, it drive you nuts. So what you have to do is schedule time for that. All right. If you come to this math class and you do well in your math class for 30 minutes, I will take you back to the room. You can get on the computer and you can look at fractals for 5 minutes, and I will leave you alone. So you schedule a time to take care of that fixation. Praise the student for simple expected social behavior. Oh, you did such a great job of letting Tommy talk. Tommy was saying something. I know you had something to say and you wanted to interrupt him, but you did a good job of letting Tommy talk. Great. As for the poor concentration, we need to break the assignment into smaller units. You're not going to give them a list of things to do and expect any of them to happen. You got to break these into smaller units and let them do them one at a time. Pair them up with a buddy. Let that buddy sit next to them and remind them of what's going on, and that they need to be paying attention, that they need to attend to what's happening in the class. As for academic difficulties, we need to provide a highly individualized academic program. I know, you've got 22 other kids that you're trying to teach everything for. And then you're telling me that, yeah, they're not going to be successful just doing what everybody else does. But same token, you're going to have some help with them. More than likely, there's going to be an inclusion teacher or a paraprofessional who's going to be able to do that. One of the problems that a lot of teachers have is they will assume, because the child can parrot back what you've just said, that they understand it. Remember, they have this incredible short-term memory that's almost like a photographic memory, where you say something, they can say it right back. That doesn't mean they have a clue what you're talking about, but they can repeat it. Don't mistake that for understanding it. As for the emotional vulnerability, you can help prevent outbreaks. You're not always going to prevent outbreaks, but you can help prevent outbreaks by offering a high level of consistency and by preparing the student when there is going to be change. Then let's give them a safe place or a safe person for high stress events. Hey, you're feeling bad at school today. You're stressing out. Somebody's making fun of you, whatever. All right, let's do this. You can come to my room. Make sure that they have a pass or whatever is going to be acceptable within your school, to where they know when they're stressing, they can come to your room, or they have a safe person, someone that they can relate to when high stress events are happening, that's going to take care of them, and they won't get in trouble for that. So this is something that's going to need to be kind of figured out within a committee, your ARD committee, your IEP team, and then taught to the rest of the staff, those who will have some role in this, or those who might penalize this child or punish them for taking advantage of this system that we put in place. Now, as for the communication problem, we need to be very literal in our speech. I remember hearing a dad talk about his child who was, I think he was 14 years old, he said, and when he'd come home from school, and he had done this from a very young age, come home from school, and just as soon as he walks in the door, he starts taking all his clothes off. He has, the issues of the tactile issues of not wanting to be, not wanting clothes on him. So by the time he's had clothes on him all day at school, he's had it. So he just walks in the door and just starts throwing clothes off. By the time he gets upstairs, he is stark naked, and there's just a trail of clothes. And this dad says, I told him, I'm not going to tell you again to not take your clothes off when you come in the door. The kid says, okay, great. What the kid heard is, I'm not going to tell you that anymore. He's like, good. I didn't want to hear it anymore. Where we take that, I'm not going to tell you again, that means you better not do it. The kid thought he means that he's not going to tell me again. So he must be okay with it now. So they use and they interpret speech very literally. Again, I'm painting with a broad brush. This is, we're talking about if you could say of a typical child with autism. There is no typical child with autism, but you get the idea. They don't get idioms, That's water under the bridge. Where? I don't see any water. Where's the bridge? No, they don't get it. Double meanings, these double entendre things that we think are so funny, they don't get it. Sarcasm, they don't get it. No, don't use it. They, well, aren't you Mr. Smarty? Well, my teacher said I was smart. I mean, they don't. And then nicknames and cute names like pal, buddy, dude. It's an elementary principal. I couldn't remember 500 kids' names, especially right at first. You didn't know any of them. So they're all coming into school. I remember second day of school, I think it was, and we were getting ready to go get on the buses. And I said, "Hey, come on, buddy." And the kid looked at me and says, "I'm not Buddy. That's my brother." Well, sure enough, he had a brother named Buddy. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Um, but with the kiddos that have these, that have autism, they don't get the cute names. They don't get the, you just need to use their real name. Um, don't expect facial expressions and other social cues to work. I think it's it's been interesting working with seventh graders now when they're wearing masks and I'm having to wear a mask. Uh, Used to, I could give a kid the look and they would know. And now I sit there and I'll be staring at a kid, and a lot of times they're just staring back at me. They don't get it because my face is covered up with the mask. Avoid verbal overload. We need to be clear. Use short sentences. If the child doesn't understand, use shorter, simpler sentences. Just keep on simplifying it until you're sure that they understand. And remember what we said, just because they can parrot it back to you does not mean they get it. So that does it for tonight. Uh, Hope that you got something out of this. And this semester's just rolling right along. Won't be long until Thanksgiving break. We're already into November. I guess tomorrow's the election. So maybe by the time you see this, we'll know who the president is